Good morning, and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folani. Thank God it's Friday. Yesterday, we were looking at the industrial action going on, in the judiciary with judiciary workers. We would have wished to be able to speak with a member, as it were, of our Judiciary Staff Union of Nigeria. It wasn't possible. They were all over the place. They were all on the move. I don't know why. They were somewhere in Ibadan, somewhere in Abuja. Anyway, it was like that. But today we got a lot luckier because one of the guests that we would have liked to have yesterday wasn't exactly possible, was the chairman of JUSUN in Lagos, JUSUN being Judiciary Staff Union of Nigeria, Comrade Kehinde Sobowale, Kehinde Rahman Sobowale. Yes, there you go. I slipped that in. It's a Friday. Yeah, so I had to slip that as a Kwongbe.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you very much for coming.
Yes.
Just to clear up, because we thought we might be seeing the end of the action, pretty soon.
We hope so.
Because all sorts of interested parties are meeting and all of that.
Yes,
but something came out, and you were quoted as saying that the action might be amended in the sense that Wednesday, Thursday, Fridays, workers might go back to their stations in order to deal with the backlog. But later on in the day, again, all of this was yesterday, it came about that, no, you got a bit mixed up. Maybe now that you're here and you were the person quoted, you can just set it straight for us.
Thank you, Yori. One thing is certain. This strike is about constitutional provision.
Okay, yeah.
So, and to embark on this strike is a national decision. It's a NEC decision.
Yes.
And once something is a NEC decision, for that decision to be changed, altered, or relaxed, it has to go back to the NEC. Now, while for us in Lagos State government has been, how do I put it, good. Lagos State has always been the pathfinder. So
when you say good, has Lagos State been compliant with the Constitution as it regards what we're talking about?
When you say compliance, it has degree. So there is something on the floor, 75%.
Okay. So they're 3/4 of the way. You would estimate that Lagos has done at least 3/4 of what is expected of them.
Yes.
They're still outstanding in 1/4. We're using these broad figurative.
Okay.
That's the situation with Lagos.
Yes, that's the situation from the official explanation from the management of Lagos State Judiciary. Because the union,
wait a minute. Lagos State itself is saying that it is 75% compliant, or that Lagos is this percent compliant.
Well, if you say we know, from the union angle, we are not at the driver's seat. We don't drive Lagos State Judiciary. We are part of it, but we don't. The people at the driver's seat in Lagos State Judiciary said Lagos and said and agreed and affirmed that Lagos is complying up to 75%.
Okay.
I would believe.
Okay. So you are going to cut some Lagos State some slack, it appears, but it looks like you've quickly withdrawn that idea because, as you've explained, ideas like that need to come from the center, and the approval of such ideas will indeed, be at the instance of the center and then be distributed around. So where did the whole matter come from?
Yes, for us in Lagos JUSUN, we had discussions. We have meetings. In fact, we're so lucky we've had 4 meetings with the state government. Nobody's negotiating here. We've not negotiated anything.
I see.
We're just having meetings because Lagos State would not fold its hand and allow the justice system in Lagos State to collapse.
Okay.
So that's why I said Lagos State is good when it comes about this proactive action is trying to mitigate against any problem that might arise. Now, there was a proposal given to us during the meeting, and that proposal was that we should cut Lagos State some slack. Mm-hmm. I mean, as you said, allow the courts to clear the backlog of some cases, allow the judges to especially those ones retiring, at least to read those judgments that they have been doing all this while. It's frustrating. Then with the advent of NSAS in Lagos State Judiciary was so affected that a lot of cases were still, and even the prison congestion. The prison is so congested now that even the police, or any other correctional, they couldn't do anything without the court. So they told us, we accepted because we listen. The one thing about Lagos JUSUN is that we will listen to you. But when we listen to you, we will look at issue from your own side also, because it's not good to look at issue from one side. Yes, we have a legitimate claim, beautiful, but there are, as a result of our legitimate claim, there are events that are unfolding in Lagos, and that is why we listen to them. And when it was time, when they presented it to us, we said, okay, fine, we will look into it. And in looking into it, we will present it to the national body, and the NEC will sit down, and will now give a final approval.
Yes.
Now, we were proposing. It was a proposal, and that proposal, I took it to my members. I called a congress,
okay,
and told all my members.
Well, that is, did this proposal come from you or come from the judiciary, from the meetings you had? In other words, from government side?
It comes from the meeting we had.
Which really means from government?
Oh, well, if you say that, we have a meeting.
I just want to be sure. I
yes,
just want to know what to say.
Yes, the proposal.
Lagos State government proposed.
Yes, the proposal comes from the government.
Okay.
That we should cut them. I mean, that if somebody has cut 75% out of 100%, so you can't punish everybody together.
Okay.
That at least you can cut Lagos State some slack.
So there was a mistaken notion for a while that indeed what you are talking about, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, they could relax and go back to the work, to clear backlog. But you are saying that that was a misunderstanding.
It was a misunderstanding. We are still proposing. It's a proposal sent to the national. I sent it to the national president. And you haven't heard back from them yesterday. So Lagos State is full 100% in the strike. What the national did was they sent the national treasurer to Lagos yesterday. The national treasurer of JUSUN, Comrade Jimoh Musa, was in Lagos yesterday to deliver the response of the national, and
which was no.
Which was definitely going to be the national will still have to meet at NEC.
So effectively no.
Well, if you call it that way.
No, it's not.
For now.
I just want to know what to say.
When I say,
National has said no.
National has said the NEC will meet and consider the proposal of Lagos.
And until that time, nothing has changed.
Nothing has changed.
So the strike is on.
This strike is on
in Lagos as well as in other
all
places.
Our courts are still locked.
But from what you've told me, I don't want to drag the issue too much, but from what you've told me, you seem to have the disposition that if it were up to us, if it were up to me, Lagos State has substantially complied, but it's not up to me.
Let me say this.
So that this particular action, as we were saying, or I muted the idea, Lagos can be cut some slack because they've shown good intention. They even bought you guys a bus.
No, let me say this.
Yes.
Let me say this. The bus is not a great gift.
No. I don't think so.
And it's not.
Those are your words.
And it's not a bribe.
Those are your words.
The bus are due to us. And it was given, it's just a coincidence, it was given to us at that time. And it's not given to only Lagos State Judiciary. It was given to some other people too, House of Assembly, Health Commission, and all this stuff. So it's not a great gift. What I am saying is this: we feel Lagos. We are in Lagos. We are in Lagos. We are local here, and we feel Lagos. We feel Lagos pain, and that is why. But the decision is not with us in Lagos.
Okay. So, although, and you explained, when you were talking about it, some of the reasons why that idea, subject to confirmation,
yes,
is that there's so many cases, important cases, so many judges about to retire, the whole privilege, if you want, of being able to read important judgments themselves or deliver important judgments themselves before retiring. All of these are like in danger unless they're going to recall them from retirement, say that now that the action is over, okay, your lordships can come back and deliver, which I don't know how that would be.
Well, because Lagos is central. Lagos is the epitome of justice system in Nigeria. Lagos has a lot of cases. Lagos has the volume of cases in Lagos is so high that the effect is more felt in Lagos than any other state of the Federation. So, but we feel, sincerely, Lagos JUSUN feel the pain of Lagos State Judiciary. But our hands are tied.
Okay.
The decision is not mine.
Okay, we've also been joined by Mr. Jide Ologun. Jide Ologun is a lawyer and public affairs analyst. Good morning, sir, and thank you very much for making time for us.
Good morning, Mr. Yori Folarin.
Thank you very much.
Good morning to all our listeners and the guests in the studio.
Indeed. Thank you very much. You've probably been listening. We're talking about the action, the JUSUN action nationwide, and we just wanted to clear up, and you've heard what is being said. You also probably, maybe you would weigh in on this whole matter about my notion that if Lagos has substantially complied, as they sometimes say, by which I mean that I've just been speaking with a chairman of JUSUN Lagos, Comrade Shobowale, who says that in terms of figures, he might say that somewhere around 75% mark has been reached by Lagos, whereupon why isn't Lagos cut some slack, considering how important the judiciary, maybe I shouldn't say it that way, because every judiciary is important. But you get what I mean. Monumental cases, judges about to retire, and all those kind of things. Weigh in on it, if you will, please.
I must say that Lagos State judiciary is the numero uno in Nigeria, the model for all to look up to. And having said that, perhaps if we had gone ahead to embark on the restructuring we talked about, and states can manage their affairs independently of others and make contributions to the center, then we may say that the substantial compliance of Lagos State should have set them apart to open the doors of the system. But here we are now, all the states are still connected together under the system of government we run. So you find all the states now agitating for the respect to the rule of law. And may I say with all due respect, that when you begin to talk about the rule of law, substantial compliance is not the same as total compliance. And that is the issue we have been having in Nigeria. We discussed with ASU, the government will come out to say, okay, we have made their demands up to 75%. The big question is, are the demands of the executive met 35%? When you begin to look at the fact that this autonomy we are talking about is a constitutional provision. And there was an executive order of the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces in 2020, the month of May, I think on the 22nd, to comply with this constitutional provision. And even though the governors...
Okay, it froze for a moment there. So maybe you can pick it up in studio. Because when he would have landed, I wanted to ask his comments on Governor Fayemi as chair of the Governors Forum, saying that this is all a big misunderstanding. We are actually on the same page with them, but we need to work at the modalities. And I can assure you, we're so much on the same page with them that by the end of May, at the latest, everything is going to be hunky-dory. Why isn't that satisfactory?
Let me take you back a little bit. When I say 75%, 75% doesn't represent what the union wants. So I'm saying that 75%,
he just said so.
75% is what the official response from the judiciary.
Yes.
Whether that suffices with the national or not is left to be seen. But we know that even if you are saying 75% or something, that 25% could be the major ingredient that will make the financial autonomy much more better.
I hear you. I hear you on that score.
Now, let's go back to Fayemi.
Okay. Who says that there's no disagreement, really. It's just a matter of beyond saying it, beyond agreeing it in a communique, the modalities have to be worked out. And he thinks, in his knowledge and wisdom, that we're going to need till the end of May.
Why has it taken them so long to work out a modality? Why has it taken the governor so long time to work out a simple modality of what the Constitution is saying? They swore to this Constitution to uphold it and obey it. I mean, they didn't swear to the Constitution to say that we will work out the modality of the Constitution before they could give the governors their right. So all these political statements, well, some of those are politicians too. We know political statements when we see it. What Governor Fayemi is saying is simply a political statement. They should do the needful. Which is
hand over the autonomy as the Constitution recommends.
Obey the provision of the Constitution, especially Section 121, subsection 3 of the Constitution. That has to deal with state IGR?
Well, unfortunately, the governors are saying that, at least going through Governor Fayemi, unfortunately, in spite of the truism that you've just stated, they're saying that, yes, we agree, but we need time to comply. Of course, it goes back to your first question, why should it be so? Why are you not doing the right thing? And let me see if Mr. Ologun is back. Any better luck with Mr. Ologun on the other end? Okay.
Yes, yes.
Okay, you're back now. The network freezing interrupted you a bit. You were explaining that in matters of the rule of law, substantial compliance might not be enough. It has to be full compliance.
Exactly. And if we may ask, are the governors considering how they get their security votes and allocations? You know, do they put that to debate? Let's assume that the executive needs to get their money through the judiciary. Will they be comfortable with the same situation? Or are we now saying that the independence of functions and the fact that there should be checks and balances between the three arms of government, are we now saying that the executive is the headmaster? Or are we now trying to give another definition to autonomy? What is the meaning of autonomy? And if the states are challenged by revenue generation, what the Constitution is saying is that what belongs to the judiciary as allocated from source should be given to them directly, not through the executive arm like we have it now. The same thing applies to the local government. And we know that we keep on debating this thing. And I'm so glad with the brilliant position of the gentleman in the studio there.
Comrade Sobowale.
Exactly. That it's like you are just showing your power. And so you are now saying you don't have any, it's a political statement that you don't have problems with this expectation, or you are not implementing it. So what are we really talking about? And let's go back to the spirit of the financial autonomy. The intention is to give the judiciary the latitude to embark on infrastructural development, you know, refine that sector in a way that it should be truly independent. But when you have someone that is holding the string, will the person not manipulate the system? Will the judges within the system not look up to the executive? So we really have to set up institutions that will be independently and effectively functional in Nigeria. Let me use the example of the United States of America recently. Donald Trump did not want to leave the White House after losing the election by the polls. And he tried everywhere. The legislative arm bounced him, the judiciary bounced him and said, no, let the system prevail. Can we boast of the same in Nigeria? That if a president or a governor decides that, no, I don't want to leave office now, that is the system, the institutions will not queue behind them because there is someone who is controlling the source of funding. It's very critical. Like the elders say, that he who pays the piper dictates the tune. Give the money of judiciary to judiciary. If they want to be prodigal about it, they will account for it. Give the one that belongs to local government to local government. Give the one that belongs to parliamentary staff to them and let them run their system. After all, like I asked now, is anybody bringing peanuts to the executive? I'm asking now, Mr. Yori, is it the judiciary that gives the governor his own allocation from the federal allocation? No, they get it directly. So if you get your own, you get that of judiciary, you get that of local government, you get that of the House of Assembly at the state, and you are now the one to be giving them what you think belongs to them. No. Okay. I mean, let's face the reality. And I was monitoring the governor of Plateau State. He said that he has gone around the three arms of government. He has been in the legislative arm. He has been in the judiciary. He is a lawyer. Now he's in the executive, the governor. If you have gone around, then why don't you allow equity? Or what again is the definition of equity? And that is what we are asking for here now. Okay. Except we allow this, the system may not run effectively. And you understand what I mean, sir? Indeed. And so please, for the sake of helping Nigeria, there must be the respect to the rule of law. To start with, the governors were not comfortable with the Order 10 of 2020. And I understand. And sincerely speaking, there was no need to give an executive order before you obey the provisions of the Constitution. The Constitution is the grand norm of the country. We are all subject to the Constitution of the land. So the executive order was like a teacher bringing cane to the classroom in anticipation that, okay, if you don't obey me, I will use cane on you. Cane is not a natural part of education. So we shouldn't have a situation where, with all due respect to the governors, where they just wake up and say, okay, everything must operate at my whims and caprices. No, then we are not running a democracy. And when we begin to project a picture that we can choose to obey the provisions of the Constitution or not to obey, that is very dangerous to democracy. Okay. And that is my position. And the best thing for them is, okay, find a way of increasing revenue generation in your environment, release what belongs to the judiciary to them, and now that the courts are sure that have we considered the economic loss to the nation in the last 2 or 3 weeks? Do we look at all these things?
Indeed.
Do we look at the induced corruption when there is paucity of funds to manage that arm of government and you begin to service them as lawyers and things like that? So we need to come together and make Nigeria work. And finally, if you look at Section 15 subsection 5 of the Nigerian Constitution 1999 as amended, it says that the state shall abolish corruption and abuse of office. And symptoms like these point us to the presence of corruption in our land. So why won't we rise up and abolish corruption and abuse of office so that we can have a Nigeria that we can position side by side the developed nations of the world?
Okay, Mr. Logun, thank you. Now, comrade, yes, you probably must be, quite chuffed, quite pleased that the NBA, no less, is actually throwing its weight behind you. This is a JUSUN action.
Yes.
It's really about, well, first of all, obeying the law, and by obeying the law, the Constitution, complying with the Constitution, then all matters within the judiciary will be taken care of. And as you said, even the National Assembly, local councils, all of that, they can take care of themselves, might translate to better work environment, better working conditions, but the grand norm, the number one, the Constitution, it states that there should not be any deflection from this. This is the way it was designed. So there's been a redesigning, and you have no less than the NBA. That must, you must feel good about that, because if the NBA, for instance, for whatever reason, did not see it from your point of view, it might have been a much more difficult climb.
Well, for us in JUSUN, we felt that even this fight that we are fighting actually belongs to the bar and the bench. You see, there is a bar, there is a bench. The judiciary staff were just the middle vehicle that pilots whatever the bar wants to bring to the bench and what the bench wants to bring to the bar. But we felt that it is our duty as the people, as a community that's domiciled in judiciary, to make sure that our workplace is better. That if our workplace is better, if things are done the way it should be done, then the common man on the street can get justice. Okay,
one moment. Let me bring in another comrade, Comrade Albanaku. I think he's calling in from Agege. Good morning, comrade.
Good morning, Uncle Yori. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir. Go ahead, please.
Albanaku Mohammed Ibrahim, calling from New Okoba.
Okay then, New Okoba.
Thank you. A comrade in the studio, I greet you.
Thank you.
Look, the JUSUN, please, we are begging you people not to back down, please. Look, the governor since 1999 have been committing crime against humanity, against the people of this country. And nobody, no individual, no group were able to stand up to them. So, JUSUN, by this strike, please, you people should continue. Nigerians are by you people. Look, what they are doing is, let us start from this your action. When you succeeded, then we will now see other groups, maybe the local government or other groups will start coming up and start challenging these people, what they are doing to us. Look, go to our state. Uncle Yori, I told you this yesterday, I'm from Kogi State. Go and see what is happening in the state. There is no development. Local government chairmen were handpicked after so many years of using them as an administrator, and few days to the tenure, and you will now conduct local government elections, and can picking few persons that make too little people that cannot even challenge the status quo. There is no development, there is nothing, and this government knows. You will see them building mansions everywhere across the world, and nobody can talk to them. Please, I am begging comrades, you in the studio, please don't back down. There is no level of intimidation that will let you people to back down for what you are doing.
Okay, then. Thank you very much, comrade, for calling in from New Okoba. You know, it's a suburb of Agege. Yes. Now, I wanted to ask you, as JUSUN yourself, and indeed as chairman of JUSUN Lagos, you probably have your finger on the tabs. Where are we now in the engagement with resolution and everything returning to normal as the objective? Where are we now, given dispositions from both sides and the dynamics being played out?
Well, I know that the national leadership met the CGN yesterday, and we told him that there is no way JUSUN will back down. For us, this strike, you know,
well, no way. If that is the way you put it, I mean, it's like that's no compromise. Just like your other comrade, your brother comrade was calling in.
Yes.
No way.
Okay. How do we negotiate? How do we negotiate obeying the Constitution? There is no negotiation in obeying the Constitution. There is no way anybody will say we want to negotiate. If it is minimum wage or allowances, that could be negotiated.
Okay. So your front and center demand is please comply with the constitutional provision on this whole matter.
Yes, at its affect financial autonomy.
Mr. Momo in Maryland, good morning, sir.
Good morning, Ogunyori.
Thank you very much for calling in.
Guest in the studio.
Indeed. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Ogunyori, I beg the JUSUN not to back down. Not to back down in this strike, because the hope of the common man is being trampled upon every day. Every day. JUSUN should not back out. Just like other people, like the Labour Minister, the Minister of Labour, Igigi, we always promise, at the end of the day, they go back and do another thing. They always promise that, call off the strike, because they know for them to call off the strike, for them to reconvene the strike again, is going to take a long time. So the common language and the English they understand quickly is to tell them back out. Why don't they implement the law now? Why say they should hold on to May? Why do they want them to back out from the strike? They are human beings too. These lawyers and judges, you hold them under your happy. The common man does not have a right again. You see a governor, you see a local government chairman, you see a councillor now is building mansions somewhere. The people who do the job in the office, they are trekking every day. They are begging for their salary to increase minimum wage, 30,000 naira. They are unable to do that. So they shouldn't back down. If they back down, they fail this country, they fail their generation, they fail humanity. If they back down from this strike, let them do the needful. Let the governor do what they are supposed to do now.
Okay.
Now.
All right.
Not tomorrow, not later than now.
Okay. Thank you very much for calling in. Thank you very much, Mr. Momo. Even support from the public, you know, is sort of bolstering your position. That
overwhelming.
Yes, overwhelming.
Overwhelming.
So the issue might be that when people are negotiating, which seems to be what you're doing now, it must be mutually beneficial. Well, that's the intellectual, recommendation.
Yes.
For successful negotiations. But in this case,
it's enforcement.
So I wanted to, for the sake of clarity, what is your irreducible minimum that must come from the governors? The irreducible minimum is you've not been complying with the Constitution, change that now. No. Begin to comply.
Yes.
And you can do that from the JUSUN's point of view from tomorrow if you were so willing, so minded.
In fact, they could do that. They could show goodwill by allowing the Accountant General of the Federation to deduct from source what belongs to the state judiciary and give it to the NJC for onward disbursement to state head of court.
Isn't that the whole
That is
thing
the
about the executive order that was signed.
The executive order was just like the other lawyer said. The executive order was just like a reminder that there is a provision here that you guys have not complied with.
But there's no the whole idea about, look, can't it be deducted from source and then forwarded directly? Complete, you know, even though that might have its own issues in some quarters, but what do you think about other arguments in that regard, that deducting directly at source and forwarding to
NJC?
Yeah. Well, how would that work? That would be excellent.
Yes. Monthly allocation. This thing is done every day, every month. There's a fact, they do this every month. Whatever belongs to judiciary, remove it from source. Give it to NJC. Let NJC give it to
So why is government allegedly intentionally holding on to this? It has been said that it's about power. What do you think?
I wish I'm a governor. I will have, I'm among them. I will be able to really say the fact.
Okay.
But from the feelers that we have, what I always feel is this: if this something belongs to me, and I said, give it to me directly, and you said, no, I will still be collecting it for you and be giving you at piecemeal, then that means something is wrong.
There must be something.
Yeah, there must be something.
Good morning, Mr. Yakub, and thank you for holding on. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Shibjori. And good morning to your guests and the other guests on the other side.
Comrade Shobowale, and as you said, Mr. Ologun.
Mr. Ologun, yes, thank you very much. Shibjori, I just want to say this. It is so sad. So sad in the sense that if you look at our governor, all the 36 states, if you count by your fingers, maybe you count like almost 1 to 5. That is, it is a lawyer. Some of them will be sons. So the question we now need to ask ourselves is that, as a lawyer, and then as one of your guests rightly said earlier, somebody said that it has gone round the clock. It has been a judicial, it has been a House of Representative, and then it's an executive. So as a governor, such person that's gone around the clock, he can never tell the colleagues the truth. Is it, Shibjori? I just want to tell the comrades in the studio, please, I'm begging you, please. I underline that statement. Please, you people should not bow down. You should do it as a fight to finish. You know why? It is not just your fight. It is fight for the ordinary citizen of this country. You know why? Why? Because if a governor can hold on to a judicial money, and then you will be in position to dictate for the judge. That is just it. Every governor in this country, they always like to hold on to the judicial money, including local government money. I didn't mean that, and then Mr. President have already directed them that this money should go to local government directly, it should go to judiciary. Okay, who is going to uphold the law now? And then you call yourself as the chief security officer of the state, and then you are not obeying the law. Security, who is fooling who here?
All right, then.
Please, once again, you should not bow down. Please, continue that fight. Don't be like Labour. Please, don't bow down. God bless you. Good morning, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Yakub. Mr. Logan, coming back to you, this strike, the way it is going on, Mr. Logan, the point has been made that there will be sacrifices depending on how long it goes on for. There will be sacrifices in the sense that there might have been some time-sensitive actions that were required. So quite frankly, one can imagine, you don't even need to be a lawyer to imagine the mess that, legal mess that people might find themselves in. Nevertheless, you think that it is worth it? Now we've lost your sound, at least in studio here, I can't hear you.
Okay, I said that absolutely I flow in the line of your thoughts, sir. And I mentioned that the Chinese have a saying that the best time to have planted a tree was 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. The next best time is now. You see, if we have been moving in the wrong direction, we keep achieving the wrong results. So can we start moving in the right direction? What we are discussing now has a connection with the whole fabric of our national being. When you talk about justice, it's connected to economy, it's connected to our social being and everything. And in HR, we talk about industrial relations. And when you don't have a smooth industrial relation, productivity will be affected. And little wonder that our country is the capital of poverty. I mean, the three arms of government are to synergize in developing this country and making it a country to be proud of. But if we now have our necks in the hands of a few that can manipulate, probably because they are above the law, we should not even be in a society that respects the rule of law, then we are endangered. Are we now saying we should continue with this journey until 20 years after? And in industrial psychology, we talk about reinforcement theory. If today the executive order of the president and commander-in-chief of the armed forces cannot make those who should respect the constitution to respect, is it in 25 years' time that they will now begin to respect the rule of law?
Okay, one moment, please. Let me interrupt you for a moment, please. I beg your pardon.
Yes.
So that I can bring in Elvis, who has called in from the UK. Good morning, Elvis.
Yeah, morning, Uncle Yori, and your guest in the studio.
Good morning, sir.
In relation to this JUSUN strike, I think the problem is with the JUSUN people, the court people themselves. Also,
the judiciary workers.
Strike, the problem is with them.
The judiciary workers themselves.
To do is one person needs to bring this, get a recall of those Supreme Court cases for the governors to be recalled. Just the Supreme Court making an example of one governor, and you will see how fast they will all comply. All these lawyers need to do is take this matter back to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court can reverse itself on the judgment given to some of these governors, and you will see how fast they will comply with everything to do with court order. The same should also be applied to the accountant general.
Yeah, but Elvis, the process to recall is a constitutional one. You know, the process to recall is a constitutional one. There are all sorts of provisions. You know, there are requirements that must be performed in the houses of assembly. It doesn't concern the Supreme Court, really, the whole matter of recalling.
No, it does, Uncle Yori. Okay. We are in a single judiciary system also. Okay. We have the constitution where nobody wants to obey.
Okay.
The same thing the governors can do, any other Nigerian can do. Let some of these lawyers approach the court, the Supreme Court. They can reverse themselves. They should look for that section within the constitution that empowers them to do so.
Okay.
Because everybody knows that this game will not end. If the governors hold on to local government allocation, hold on to judicial allocation, hold on to everybody's allocation, what exactly are we doing? The president has given an order. Nobody wants to obey. This nonsense must stop. JUSUN, their problem cannot be solved by
beyond the president giving the order. Sorry, sir. Elvis, beyond the president giving the order, or totally apart from the president giving the order, the Constitution was there before the president. The Constitution says this is the procedure.
Exactly, Uncle Yori. Nobody obeys the Constitution. Let them do it the hard way, and you see how fast.
Okay, let me bounce this off, Mr. Logun. Mr. Logun, you heard Elvis there, and his suggestion that there's a legal way out. He referred to the Supreme Court talking about recalling of governors. He didn't agree when I said that that's really in the province of the people of the state and the State House of Assembly.
You see, I think it's a very dangerous symptom when we choose that before we respect the provisions of the Constitution, the Supreme Court must pronounce on it again. It's even indicting that the president had to come up with an executive order. And let me take us back to history. I think it was Washington that first used executive order in the United States of America. And the purpose was to make the government parastatals to present their reports of performance to the people. It's not a cane to force them to comply. So it was like a performance report. But what do we have in Nigeria? And we all know that the governors, they have immunity. You cannot prosecute them. You can only investigate them if there are allegations against them, get your facts together, warehouse the evidences until they step out of office. So we need to refine our system. So we have a system where the executive is so powerful and the other two arms of government that should be the checks and balances are like underdogs. It's dangerous.
Okay.
The legislative arm is to make the laws, the judiciary is to interpret, the executive is to implement. So
yeah, I agree with you, Mr. Asho, sorry, sir. I agree with you entirely. Everybody's life would be a lot simpler, comrade, if people just went by the Constitution. And stop without need for additional encouragement, contesting it in court and all over the place. But it wouldn't even be fair to say that this case that JUSUN is championing is the first instance of our, institutions that not obeying the Constitution. Okay. So it's become, as is being said there by Mr. Ologun, it's even a dangerous precedent that we've sort of internalized and it's become part of, and that seems to be what you are up against. That's why everybody is calling in, supporting and begging you, do not back down. What they're really saying is, uphold the Constitution. Go on, you guys, JUSUN, go ahead and uphold the Constitution.
Yes.
And let's just take this to its logical conclusion. Elvis even thought that if that's not enough, we can add some other, we can add some other things. All at the end of the day being about the law, the Constitution, and the people.
Yes. But in fact, JUSUN has a long journey on this. We went on strike in 2008. We also went on strike.
Sorry, before you go too far, let me bring in Reverend Dominic. I'll then come back to you.
Okay.
Good morning, Reverend.
Good morning, Yori.
Thank you.
Good morning to your guest.
Indeed.
Yori, let me come to this discussion as a layman.
Okay.
Yori, every time we argue that the problem of Nigeria is constitution, my own argument. Constitution has no problem in Nigeria. In fact, we are over constitution, if I can use that in English. Britain, what kind of constitution do they have? How many pages are there?
They don't have any.
One part of the problem.
Britain doesn't have a written constitution.
Nigeria, yes, if I can use that word. The problem of Nigeria is not a written constitution. It's the people that operate that constitution. Just like there's no government that is bad, whether it's Ministry of Democracy, it is operators. What kind of government is operate in Singapore or in China? No government is bad, it's operators. The constitution of Nigeria is firm. Is there any way in constitution that the governor will not pay workers? Is there any way in constitution that we wake up every day, 20 are key, 40 is key, 50, and we go and pay obedience and solidarity to governor? It's up to ask governor what happened. The issue is the people that operate this constitution. What is happening now? How can the governor look at the doctors are not paid, the lecturers are not paid, every worker in Nigeria is not paid. And only governors are paid. I'm not seeing them go on strike. The legislative workers, we are still protesting. The senators and the president are paid, but their workers are not paid. What kind of a constitution is that? If we write another constitution and restructure Nigeria, and the same people operators today operate a constitution written in America or in London, we will get the same answer. It's not the constitution, it's the mind of people that operate the constitution. Thank you. And let people not back out. If they can give us a sample that Labour will take from.
Okay.
Please stand on your words. Nigeria is on the bricks already. We are going through war. Let's find an amendment to it. And those amendments is obey the Constitution. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Reverend Dominic there. People are passionate. Some are even angry that we're even talking about this, that it doesn't even bear saying if we knew what we were about. And but I interrupted you. I'm not sure if you remember the point.
Yes, I do.
Okay, please continue.
I do. That this has been a long journey for JUSUN, especially at the national. The struggle we started so early and in the life of the union, and we had a strike in 2008. We all went to another one in 2014 and 15. And this one in 2021. And the reason why the NEC is saying that this is a fight to finish.
This time. Is because you've heard it before.
Yes, we've learned from the previous one.
That you can't really depend on what government says.
So
it will say it but won't do it.
We were learning. So all those political statements from the governors and all those maneuvering should stop. They should just face the facts.
This time in 2021,
yes,
you are saying JUSUN is going to go for broke.
Yes, to the best of my knowledge, and according to
whatever
the
it takes, just like everybody is urging you, say, do not back down. In fact,
whatever it takes this time around.
They even, shaded NLC a bit by saying, don't back down. No.
Like, well, JUSUN is one of the integral part of NLC.
Exactly, I know.
And we from inside NLC, I'm a labor man, and we from inside NLC, we know what is going on in NLC.
Because NLC has compromised. I don't want to use the word compromised in a negative sense, but going back to that, my theory about negotiation, and it must be, you can't have a negotiation where one person gets 100% and the other person gets 0. Is the theory.
Yes.
Is the theory.
Yes.
So on that account, NSC has found itself looking at the figures and have said that, look, in the light of this, so as not to do more damage than intended, we will call it off for now. So people say we're used to this with our labor unions, and so that's why just about everybody that has called in has said, JUSUN, do not back down.
Well, in collective bargaining, that I know that the leadership of NLC, with that wonderful man, the leadership has tried so much. What is on the table at times is not open to the general public. The general public doesn't even know what NLC is going through during negotiation and some other thing. But NLC has never compromised.
Okay.
Labor in Nigeria, as I know, will never compromise.
Okay. Mr. Logan, thank you for remaining with us. You didn't get to another aspect. Well, you did say that, yes, this action, including all the difficulties that will come in its wake, it was entirely worth it. But I was asking about, and I take that, the aspect of the law or work in the judiciary, or in short, in courts, where if the matter is not pronounced upon in a timely manner, it doesn't matter anymore. There might be some time-bound situations like that. What is going to happen in those cases where a person wants a pronouncement upon something, maybe some people encroaching and they're building, and if I can get an injunction now, they can stop them. But in the midst of all of this, the man would have finished 11 stories and then becomes a totally different case. I just took that off the top of my head, but you get the meaning I'm trying to make.
Yes, and that is why the elders have said that prevention is better than cure. But in crisis management, you never can tell who the victims will be. So those are the things we have deliberately brought upon ourselves, and that is what should guide us in respecting the rule of law. The rule of law simply means that you don't encroach on the rights of others with your own privileges. So if those we are talking about now who are holding to what the judiciary and the parliamentarians are entitled to, if they have released it, there will be a strike. By the grace of God, I'm an HR practitioner too.
Okay.
I mean, it's at the tail end of negotiation that you go on strike. Strike is not. It's when all negotiation fails. So if you are considerate to the other processes and procedures in the country that rely on your own link, then you do the right thing.
Okay.
It's as simple as that.
I got to interrupt you again, Mr. Logo, because we spent quite a bit of time on Lagos State. JUSUN here is from Lagos, and we said a few words about Lagos State. So we're delighted to have Mr. Hakeem Muri Okunla, Head of Service in Lagos State, call in. Good morning, Mr. Muri Okunla.
Good morning, Uncle Yeri. How are you doing today?
Good morning, sir. Thank you. I'm very well, thank you. Thank you very much for calling in. Please.
Good morning, Comrade Chebowale and Mr. Logan.
Thank you so much, Maga.
All right. So please go ahead. What is it you wanted to say, sir, about this JUSUN matter and the delays that are going to be in its wake?
Well, thank you very much, Uncle Yeri. I'm very happy that you have given me the opportunity to at least shed some light on the issues at stake. For me, and most importantly for me, is to let everyone understand that there is a solidarity with JUSUN in the national sense. However, we cannot adopt a same yardstick for every state of the Federation. And my expectation from my dear brother, the chairman, Lagos chapter of JUSUN, Comrade Chobowale, would have been different. I agree with a lot of solidarity with the national movement. I have absolute respect for the rule of law, as does the government and the people of Lagos State government as a whole. And I think our case in Lagos State should actually be made specific and distinct from that of the remaining 35 states of the Federation. The reason is very, very simple. Lagos State, because of the respect for the rule of law by the person of the governor of the state, Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, and previous occupants of that office, Lagos State has never been in non-compliance in the payment of financial autonomy to the judiciary. Level of compliance may be what we should be discussing when it comes to Lagos State. And I do agree that when it comes to constitutional matters, compliance must be total. However, in Lagos State government, records have shown that JUSUN National never consulted the heads of court in Lagos State before arriving at the decision that our state was not in compliance. The comrade sitting down in front of you, the respected chairman of our own state chapter, is aware that in terms of overheads, Lagos State is in 100% compliance. And that when it comes to capital in terms of their budget, Lagos State government is in more than 80% compliance. And this is only because the dependency of payment for capital projects, even though it is first line in our budget, is subject and dependent on our revenue generation. Lagos State government in its own self and in our own case goes even far and beyond the budgetary provisions for the judiciary to go to do most of their capital projects. If you recall, Oguyori, when the NSAS protest came up and the aftermath of it, the judiciary was worst hit in the whole exercise. Yes. Now, the judiciary is the last hope of the poor man. And as we currently stand, the vulnerable people in the society are suffering from this current impasse, not because Lagos State's non-compliance, but largely because our chapter it's embarking on solidarity, rightly so, with the national. And we have absolutely no problem with that. The only problem we have is that you cannot embark on a complete strike action. And we have engaged with labor. I believe, I don't know what is happening on the TV this morning is very different from my negotiations, our negotiations as the government with the JUSUN Lagos State chapter, and with the comrade in particular. And we expected, at least got decent assurances that we wouldn't be where we are as of this morning from the chairman. So I have to call in to try and participate because it seems like I'm watching a very complete different program. Lagos State's compliance level should not be equated with 35 other states in the Federation. We are far, far beyond and above all of that. And for those figures and facts to be accurate, it should have been sought and obtained from the heads of court, which is the chief judge in Lagos. And as the comrade also said, sorry to be taking you long, this matter, as he alluded, is between the bar and the bench. Yes. And they are just in like an arbiter in the middle. If you are an arbiter in the middle, and the person you are mediating for has given you assurances of our own compliance, I think it behoves and it is responsible for us to act in line with that and not link our solidarity with the nation to grind the state.
All right, then. I want to thank you very much, Mr. Akeem Muri Okunla, Head of Service in Lagos State. We really appreciate the clarification that you brought to the issue. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much.
So, I think you don't have any objection to anything the Head of Service said there.
Yes, Uncle Yori.
And very briefly, please, because mention it.
There is a little objection. I mean,
very briefly.
What JUSUN is saying is 100%.
Yes.
Not
Well, he said he understands that, so that he would have expected you to have also presented, some aspects.
We have, but even the federal court that are complying 100%,
yeah,
they are still closed.
We're going to have to leave this here for now, but thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
And I also need to thank Mr. Jide Ologun as well. Thank you very much. And indeed, we thank all that also called in. And in particular, we thank the Lagos State Head of Service, Mr. Akim Muri-Okola, who we're happy to know, first of all, Mr. Muri-Okola, that you're watching the program, and then you actually participated. We'd like to encourage a lot more high government officials in Lagos State to do likewise. That's our program today. Thank you very much for staying with us, and we don't do Saturday, so tomorrow is actually Monday. In the meantime, watch it, please. Anti-COVID-19 protocols, observe them, wash your hands frequently, mask up, and don't be in unnecessary crowds. Have a great weekend. I'm Yori Folari. Bye-bye for now.